The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
If your world was turned upside down, what would you do?
What the fuck are we gonna do now? Get high?
We are the watching. We are the waiting. We are the remnant, host of vengeful souls forsaken. We'll show no mercy. We'll show no kindness. We'll strip your flesh and leave forgotten bones behind us. We are the uninvited. From both of if you dare, we would be so delighted. We are the uninvited. From both of if you dare, we would be so delighted for the chance to find you in despair. We are the uninvited. From both of if you dare, we would be so delighted for the chance to find you in despair. Despair, you're often in despair.
It was more fun that way.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Ganja Gospel.
Yes, welcome. I'm still picking weed. It's a torrential downpour. Thank God we watered for 12 plus hours the other day. Welcome to Ganja Gospel, where we talk the truth about lots of different things. So far, we're in the Lost Book of Enki, Tablet 11, read by Books Aloud by Amber Lalana the Lovely.
Hi.
Shout out to the Dorkening Network, Still Toking with, and Hellfire Radio, and all those cool ass motherfuckers over there that we're talking about.
Indeed.
Sandman the other day. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit was fire. Great conversation. Yo, go talk to them over there. Go watch that shit because look, they talk about everything you guys watch on TV. You're like, yo, man, you see that new fucking movie coming out? Yo, they're talking about it. Yo, they're giving reviews. They used to give Sandbag reviews. I think they gave Gem reviews this time. They give whatever it's for each one. So, but check it out, man. It's cool. It's
Indeed.
cool.
Yes.
Shout out to them. That's
all
where
those
we're
links are down
broadcasting.
below in the description. So
That's right.
show the love. And to all of you guys who are joining us from the Dorkening Network and Still Toking with and Hellfire Radio. Hello, what's up? We're on
Hello.
TwizTD RootZ. That's this guy
That's
right
me,
here.
TwizTD.
And his links down below too. Most of us are
I
in
put it
here
on
chatting.
I put it on my shirt in case I forget. Sometimes I forget, so I put it on my shirt. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
make sure he remembers.
they're like,
yeah.
Who are you? And I'm like,
This guy right here.
I'm this many.
That
That worked well for me at the Cannabis Cup 2019.
So yes, this is Pastor RootZ for Ganja Gospel, guys.
Pastor RootZ, Ganja Gospel. We're in the fucking house. In the bushes in the house. All you other amazing people, Creekwater and everybody else. It is a fucking, oh my goodness.
It is
a-
down. Oh
it's
gosh.
It's a pond
We
there.
forgot to put a
We
bucket.
should have, well, we need like a 20 gallon
we need, like,
dumpster.
Really, it needs to be massive. It's just gutters. Gutters are a great thing.
They are.
Something we don't have.
Michigan don't use gutters. But, you know, if you're wondering how to get that coffee and shit, you know, hit them up over there and get some of that fire-ass coffee and turn you into a zombie. Turn you into a zombie. I think they got barbecue. They got barbecue sauce, hot sauce. We got to get those.
We got all kinds
commercials queued up, so
we
can start showing them for you. Because I want some of that fucking hot sauce and shit. You know what I'm saying?
They got some good shit over there.
They're infused with ganja and shit. I think I want to get some of that. I want to try some and send them some ganja.
Hey,
maybe they can infuse my ganja in their barbecue sauce. Maybe we can make it some Princess Leia or something. What if the bottle's like an Aunt Jemima bottle and it looks like Leia and the Skywalker looks like the Skywalker? Remember those old shampoo bottles?
Oh, God, yeah.
God, I love
They made
those.
things so much fun back then, didn't they?
They did. They looked like the characters and shit.
Man, those were the days. Those were the days.
Come through the green screen behind you guys. Yes.
Yes, it is. It looks like an alien, doesn't it?
It's hanging out over there. We're going to be cutting this one down. That is the variant. I'm going to cut it down and, harvest it. It's not ready. It could probably go for the rest of the damn season, but it's getting taken over by the plant disease known as blight that's been around for the last couple of years. So I told you guys I'm going to be taking down. We picked all the leaves off it. Now we're going to chop it. You know, but before we get way too far into it and stuff, we're smoking on a strain here called Donkey Punch. Now, this strain would have won the 2020 Michigan Cannabis Cup down there in Clio. But, you know, some other things happened in 2020 that we couldn't control. The world shut down for a couple of years, but we back, baby. We're in it strong. We're trying to do what we was trying to do forever. You know what I'm saying? Make these strains be up in your face hole. That's all we want. We want these strains in your pie hole. And you can get them at thirdeyestrains@gmail.com and hit me up and say, man, give me a list. I'm going to send you a list and show you what I got available.
Yeah. But meanwhile, we're going to be, delving into some truth.
Meanwhile, she was going to tell you about her salves.
Oh, meanwhile, I'll tell you about my salves as well. We have salves. This is we have some infused salves and we have some other salves that are on the website. And they all work splendidly for any kind of ailment that you may have. We've got cat scratch healers. So if you got a little bit itchy going on, bud scratch or whatever the
I need
skin
that
stuff
for these
is.
fucking mosquitoes. These fucking, dude, I itched a damn sore on my leg from these fucking mosquitoes, man. Sorry about that.
That's all right. And then we have Bone Deep, which that goes just, bone deep. That's for the stuff that just you need that really, really deep pain for. So, bone, muscle pain and bone pain for that one.
Works so good.
And works so good. And then we got Hot Toddy Rub. That one's got a little bit of spice in there. So it gets that circulation going and gives you a little bit of warmth.
Don't put it on your junk.
Just make sure you keep it out of your eyes too.
And
wash your fucking hands after you use it. Let's just put it that way.
And your butthole. And your butthole. Don't put it on your butthole. That's not good.
And then we have Unnerving, which is on the newer side. That one just relieves any nerve pain that you may have, those little pins and pricks that you may have from either neuropathy or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Gone.
It really works.
Gone. And latest and greatest is F cancer. Because,
put it on your titties.
We make sure to infuse all those yummy oils that come together and combat that bullshit cancer cell growth above and below your skin.
Everyone's got it. Y'all got it. Unless you're a clone and they pulled it out of your computer, I was like, but.
So yeah, any of those, you got our website, which is twinflamefarms.com. You have those that are not CBD infused. And we also have ones that are, which you can get from Third Eye Strains.
That's right.
So there you go, right there.
You can get any
but they
of
all
our
work.
strains infused into a salve.
Yes, you can.
And it's dope. Oh man, like the Leia. That's what the Go Deep's made out of, really, though, because Leia goes deep, baby. Like in your mind too. Like I made that one for schizophrenic patients.
This
you
is
got these altering mind problems and shit. That one will keep you on that path, baby, to enlightenment.
This Go Deep is different. This is off the website. This is strictly through Third Eye Frames. Third Eye Strains. Because this has all the good stuff in it.
Yeah, hit me up, Third Eye Strains. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need to do. Check out our frequency products. Still some are available. And get them while they're hot. And let's get into this Ganja
Gospel, what we've been waiting for.
Let her have this first hit of this donkey punch real quick. Let her get a couple Tokies. Because you know what happens all the time? She don't even get to smoke. She's all stressed out because we got to keep stopping. And what it is, I've learned. Either take notes and shut my mouth. But what happens is we risk getting shut down for that. That's why I've always done things a certain kind of way because I've always known what to do. You know, and it always seems like the way I do things is always the way not to get fucked up for somehow. I don't know why. But so we need the introduction. Like it has to be.
Interruptions need to happen. And interruptions are good for you guys because I know a lot of times when I'm reading, some of the stuff is like, what the fuck is she saying?
I know.
Takes this guy sometimes to let us know what the fuck I'm saying or reading per se. So
it's all about
listen
fantastic
up
shit.
And make sure that if you're not understanding what I'm reading, listen to him tell you in layman's terms what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Because it helps.
I'll tell you what's happening. What's happening.
So this week we are in the 11th tablet, but we're going to recap what happened in the 10th tablet real quick before we get into it so that we kind of have a little bit of a memory. Because, you know, if we're all the same in here, then we're a bunch of stoners, and you know, a little bit of memory jog is pretty beneficial for us.
Yeah, and if you guys could like, share, subscribe to the channel to get all the next updates on the cool shit and the grows. I got all kinds of videos I just got put together, kind of like the whole summer's collaboration of stuff. You know, we're going to do that, but share it out to your people because that's the only way other cool people get in here and can listen to the different information that's put out all over the world. This is only one piece. We're going to get into all kinds of others. This is, you know, I've been doing Weed Church, Ganja Gospel for 3 or 4 years now. You know, when I was like, wait, I could tell you guys about this shit. Oh, yeah, you need to know about this stuff because this shit, once you realize what they're saying, and then you go geographically on our map, on like Google Maps, Google Earth, not, you know, you can see the structure they're talking about. You see everything is there, and you learn about what things are made out of and what, you know, what frequencies they could hold, what kind of heat they can transfer. Why would it be made out of that? You start looking into science. You start discovering so many crazy different things about everything and learning about the people who were here and people that were there and what happened to our planet. So let's hear what happened. There's a deluge going outside. Let's hear about the deluge of last chapter.
All right. So the synopsis of the 10th tablet.
One hit before you go.
Last week. One more for the road.
One Toki. Sorry, I should have let her hit it the whole time. I was a dick move on my part. My bad.
Such a dick move.
We should have been smoking out of this one. Sorry there, J-Bike, my brother, but this one's really, it's a choker.
It is a choker.
Can't put the donkey punch in the choker. It's like putting a donkey punch in a cannon. Come on.
All right, here we go.
We go.
Last week, the mystery emissary appears to Enki in a dream vision. Enki is told to save mankind through his son, Zasudra. By subterfuge, Enki directs Zasudra to build a submarine. A navigator comes aboard, bringing Earth's seeds of life. Nibiru's approach causes the White Land's ice sheet to slip. The resulting tidal wave engulfs the Earth and with water. The remaining Anunnaki bewail the calamity from Earth orbit. The waters recede. Zasudra's boat rests on Mount Salvation. Descending in a whirlwind, Enlil discovers Enki's duplicity. Enki convinces Enlil it was destined by the creator of all. They use the surviving landing platform as a temporary base. In a creation chamber there, crops and cattle are fashioned. Abundant gold is discovered in the lands beyond the seas. New space facilities are established in the olden lands, and they include 2 artificial mounds and a lion-shaped carving. Ninmah offers a peace plan to resolve erupting rivalries. Want to say anything about last week?
I'm just thinking, so before the deluge, imagine that the sea, what is it, the Baltic Sea, not the Mediterranean, the sea between like where Europe is and where like
the lands beyond the seas.
Yeah, but imagine that before the flood happened, right? They said they landed in an old landing spot, right? But then when you look at it, and that's in Turkey. Well, Turkey is across the fucking, what's that? The Black Sea, Dead Sea, Baltic Sea, some fucking sea that goes out into the ocean. Well, in those times, the water was way the fuck lower. So there might have been a lake there or nothing. It could have been literally a valley. So that whole area could have been inhabited at those times. Like we think of it as like those parts could have been under the ice. But not how they wrote it. They didn't. And they probably had a landing spot in fucking Turkey. And that's, that's where they built. Everyone knows where Troy was. Yep, Troy. And what's the name of it now? I forgot. I smoked too much weed. We just watched it. Damn. I said it in the beginning. I said it before I got high. Now I've said too many ancient words and I forgot the name of the place. Not Sir Galahad, Guadalupe's Bend. But that's where they made the animals. And we watched
it this morning, and now we can't remember the name because we're stoners.
And Donkey Punch is nice.
All right, 11 tablet. This is what we're talking about today,
Synopsis,
guys. Right? So let's hear a little bit what's going to happen. The spaceport's land, Tillman, is declared a neutral zone. It is granted to Ninmah, who is renamed Ninarsag. Marduk gets the Dark Lands, the Enlilites, the Olden Lands. Marduk's grandsons quarrel. Satu murders Asar. Impregnating herself, Asar's wife, Asta, bears Horon. In aerial battles over Tillman, Horon vanquishes Satu.
Horus and Set right there.
The Enlilites deem it prudent to prepare another spaceport. Enki's son, Dumuzi, and Inanna, Enlil's granddaughter, fall in love. Fearing...
Can you read that one more time?
That one sentence?
Yes.
Enki's son, Dumuzi.
Enki's son, Dumuzi. Enki, Lord Enki.
And Inanna, Enlil's granddaughter.
Enlil's granddaughter.
Fall in love.
The two brothers, right, that this whole story is based on. The son of Lord Enki and the granddaughter, which she's also known as Anu's favorite. And because that was his favorite granddaughter. Anu. He's also a granddaughter to Enlil. I think they're great daughters, though.
Fearing the consequences, Marduk causes Dumuzi's death. Seeking his body, Inanna is put to death, then resurrected.
Okay, so stop right there real quick. So Marduk kills his own brother for consequences that he does, okay? So Jesus walked the whole entire planet and talked about how there was one God and this is the way. The story we hear is the one God. But first he walked the desert and dealt with the devil, they say in religion. But in all actuality, he walked the earth learning how to become a master yogi. And that is, in that teaching, you learn how to become one with nature and frequency, aligning your chakras and ascending. So the true path and teachings of Dumuzi is Jesus. And he went around and taught. All the people worshipped their father and their uncle and all these different people. And he walked around, was telling people the truth. And Marduk was like, whoa, I'm Ra, bro. I'm the God of everything right now. You can't tell these people that we're not gods and that they don't have to worship us. And he fucking killed them. You're going to see in just a little bit here how Dumuzi is Jesus. Inanna is what you refer to as the Holy Spirit. They went through every single sacrament, I guess you could say, that is written about Jesus. And that whole interjection of him going to hell and being resurrected as the Holy Spirit and blah, blah, blah. It's here in this story. But in religion, that's why there's a cross and not an ankh, because the ankh's the truth, the cross is the lie. See, the religion takes the feminine out of it, like Christianity. They take the feminine away. So like, the Holy Spirit can never be a woman. Like the devil could never be a chick with big titties sitting on a throne with whips and leather and shit. That's where we got it from. But go ahead and read this. Read this. Fascinating. This is fascinating. As fascinating as this whole tale's been that our lovely reader here, the hippie witch, has presented to us. This shit right here is fascinating in its own. You're like, oh my God.
Fearing the consequences, Marduk causes Dumuzi's death. Seeking his body, Inanna is put to death, then resurrected. Inanna launches a war to seize and punish Marduk. The Enlilites break into his hideaway in the Great Mount. They seal the uppermost chamber to entomb Marduk alive. Marduk's wife, Sarpanit, and his son, Nabu, plead for his life. Ningazida, knowing the Mount's secrets, reaches Marduk. Marduk, his life spared, goes into exile. Enki and Enlil divide the earth among their other sons.
There you go. So now where they're talking about here with this mountain, this pyramid and stuff, it could be, they could be talking about Egypt in some realm of that space, but they said house like a mountain. Now, see, we don't have any kind of story or tales about Bosnian pyramid, but we do have stories and tales about that whole area and who ruled that area, right? So if all this was done and the same people were in charge of that area that built the Bosnian pyramids could possibly be the house like a mountain. Possibly not. It could be a pyramid that was destroyed and they toppled on top of them. But it says here that they knew the secrets of the pyramid, so they were able to get to the top. So it doesn't sound like it was destroyed. It sounds like they collapsed some doors and locked them in that bitch. Like turn the frequency off. If you turn the frequency off of your electronic house, you can't get the doors or windows open. You're going to fucking... But so the house like a mountain and where Marduk actually was, it could be North America. We'll find out.
Praise to Ninarsag, on earth the peacemaker, in unison the Anunnaki proclaimed. During the first Shar, after the deluge, Ninarsag to cool down tempers managed. Nibiru, with gold to resupply, was overambitious and rivalries paramount. Slowly the earth to teem with life returned, with the seeds of life by Enki preserved. What by itself survived was augmented on land and in the air and waters. Most precious of all, the Anunnaki discovered were mankind's own remnants. As in bygone days, when the primitive workers were created, the Anunnaki, few and strained, for civilized workers now clamored. By the time the first Shar after the deluge was completed, the peaceful truce, by an unexpected occurrence, was shattered. Not between Marduk and Ninurta, not between the Enki and Enlil clans was the eruption. Between Marduk's own sons, by the Igigi abetted, was tranquility broken.
Now, what they said, though, that there was no humans left on the planet, and they were thinking about the past humans that were all here. They're like, but okay, the big ones were terrible and the monsters were bad, but like the primitive workers were dope, dude. We need the primitive workers back. Like we're getting bored and They're getting tired of working. These are fucking real high class people. You know what I'm saying? Or something. But I mean, if you worked for 100,000 years, wouldn't you fucking be like, yo, can I get a break? You know what I'm saying? So they wanted to make this worker class again. Pay attention to that. They wanted to make this worker class again. Oh.
When Marduk and Sarpanit and their sons and daughters on Lamu and the deluge outwaited, the two sons, Asar and Satu, to the daughters of Shamgaz, the Igigi leader, a liking took.
Do you understand that? Say that again.
The two sons, Asar and Satu, to the daughters of Shamgaz, the Igigi leader, a liking took.
Who were those two guys you just said first?
The Asar and Satu are Marduk and Sarpanit's sons.
So Marduk, which is Ra, Lord Enki's son. Okay? Lord Enki's son. This is why this is so important, you guys, because religion is so fucking lost and twisted now, right? So Lord Enki's son, his wife is a human chick. A human. She's a human, right? They have two sons. Those two sons hook up with Satan's daughters. Satan's daughters.
Shamgaz, the Igigi leader.
Semyaza. I call him Semyaza in Magic the Gathering. They got this motherfucker, right? But literally, this is in your holy Bible. This is Satan. This is the devil. This is the adversary of your God, right? So here they're saying Marduk took a human wife among the humans, among Adam and Eve's people. He found a wife, took her as his own, right? One of their daughters took her as his own. They got kicked out to a different land, right? So they came to North America, where they found who? The people of Cain, right in that area at the West Coast and all down through Central and South America. They found the people of Cain, and they were mining gold. They were worshiping their god, the winged serpent, who is another son of Lord Enki, right? Ningal or whoever. We were talking about him earlier. So before we get too far away from it, though, Marduk, which is Ra in Egyptian lore, it's okay. Marduk is Ra, okay? He's another dude too in the Babylonian king gods. He took a human wife. They had children. Two of them were male. Those two males hooked up with the fallen angels leader, the leader of the fallen angels, his daughters. So the devil's daughters just hooked up with half God, half human daughters or men. Did you catch all that? I mean, am I stoned or are you guys not fucking blown away what the fuck they just said here? Like literally God's kids hooked up with the devil's kids. And now people are here, bro. People. They made people. That's what they was doing. Holy shit. Motherfucking smoke another joint.
The two sons, Asar and Satu, to the daughters of Shamgaz, the Igigi leader, a liking took. When to earth they all returned, the two brothers and two sisters espoused.
There you go.
Asar, the one called Asta, chose. Satu, the one called Nabat, betrothed. Asar, with his father Marduk in the dark-hued lands to abide, chose. Satu, near the landing place where the Igigi dwelt, with Shamgaz, his dwelling made. About the domains on earth was Shamgaz concerned.
We just saw that, right? The gates of Hades. This is where the gates of Hades, where Ham stood and talked to fucking Jesus and Paul and blah, blah, fucking blah. That's where they're talking about right here.
Satu, near the landing place where the Igigi dwelt, with Shamgaz his dwelling made. About the domains on earth was Shamgaz concerned. Where shall the Igigi, the masters, be? So did Shamgaz, the other Igigi, in sight. Of that Nabat and to Satu daily spoke. By staying with his father, Asar the successor alone shall be. The fertile lands he will inherit. So did Shamgaz to his daughter Nebat to Satu day after day say, how the succession in the hands of Satu alone to retain, father and daughter schemed. On an auspicious day, they made a banquet. Igigi and Anunnaki to it they invited. Asar, unsuspecting, to celebrate with his brother also came. Nebat, his spouse's sister, prepared the tables, footstools she also set. She beautified herself, with lyre in hand a song to mighty Asar she sang. Satu before him choice roast meat cut, with salted knife for him fatlings he served. Shamgaz in a large goblet new wine to Asar offered, an admixture for him he made.
Ooh.
A large vessel, mighty to look upon, with elixired wine he gave him. In good humor was Asar, merrily he arose and sang, with cymbals in his hand he chanted.
So he held this fucking cup that they said it was mighty to look at. He held it. These were giants. They're talking all giants in those times, all of them. So when they said they gave birth to giants, and I want you guys to know right now, this is God, all God's angels talking to the devil and all of the fallen angels that followed him down, the Yagigi that are on earth, right? That's who this story is about right here. This is the fallen angel story right here. And the story of the Nephilim, right? The children of the fallen angels and the children of God, right? So this is the story here. But what's funny is they were all giants. Well, when they say they gave birth to giants, believe those motherfuckers were big. They were huge. In the next chapter, not next chapter here, next story possibly, we'll read the Book of the Giants. That's what you're going to do. It's the most amazing story never told. And that would be the movie to end all movies, to just oh yeah.
Then by the admixture wine he was overcome. To the ground he fell down. Let us for a sound sleep take him, the host to the others at the banquet said. They Asar to another chamber carried. In a coffin they him laid. The coffin with tight seals they closed. Into the sea they threw it. The word of what had happened Asta reached to Marduk, her husband's father. She raised a wailing. Asar to his death in the sea depths was brutally thrown. Quickly must the coffin be found. They searched the sea for Asar's coffin. By the shores of the dark-hued land it was found. Inside the stiff body of Asar lay. From its nostrils the breath of life departed. Marduk, his clothes rent, on his forehead he put ashes. My son, Sarpanit cried and wept. Great were her grief and mourning. Enki was distraught and wept. The curse of Kain is repeated. To his son in agony he said, Asta to high heavens a wailing raised. To Marduk for revenge and in air an appeal she made. Yep. Satu his death must meet. By your own seed a successor let me conceive. Let by your name his name remembered be, the lineage surviving. This, alas, cannot be done, Enki to Marduk and Asta said. The brother who killed the brother's brother must be the keeper. For this Satu must be spared. By his seed and heir to Asar you must conceive. By these twists of fate, Asta was baffled, distraught. The rules to defy she was determined. Before the body of Asar was wrapped and in the shroud in a shrine preserved, from his phallus Asta the seed of life of Asar extracted. With it Asta herself made conceive, an heir and avenger to Asar to be born. To Enki and his sons, to Marduk and his brothers, Satu word delivered.
You guys hear what that was, right? That was the gods of Egypt. That was that movie right there. Gods of Egypt. She just read it in a couple fucking sentences. Literally. That was Horus and Set, right? Horan and Setu. That's Set and Horus. Right. So Set and Horus, who's their parents? Marduk and Sarpana or some shit, right? Serpent, right, is their parents. Mother serpent, right? Sarpana. Marduk is Ra. Set and Horus's father. It's the greatest shit ever. Or grandfather. I mean, it's grandfather, whatever.
The sole heir and Marduk's successor am I. Of the land of the two narrows, I will be the master. Before the Anunnaki's council, Asta the claim refuted. With Asar's heir, I am with child. Among the river's bull rushes with the child she hid. The wrath of Satu she was avoiding. Horon she called the boy. To be his father's avenger, she raised him.
Yep.
Satu by this was disconcerted. Shamgaz from ambitions did not retreat. From earth year to earth year, the Igigi and their offspring from the landing place spread. Unto the borders of Tilman, Nanarsag's sacred region, closer they moved.
So, hold on one second. Are you at the end of the sentence?
Yeah.
Okay, so you hear that. So they wanted the primitive workers back on the planet, but they didn't really start making them yet. North and South America was full of the people, the descendants of Cain, right? They had Noah recreating all kinds of motherfuckers, right? But they were like, there's not enough people. Now we got to do shit ourselves. If you remember from the very beginning, they warred with each other. And they promised to never kill each other again, never to harm each other. So they created people to do all their dirty work. That's why you got all the wars going through all this shit. If you go to each side and go, who's your God? You're going to see it's one of these motherfuckers. Who's your God? You're going to see it's one of these motherfuckers. And they had a beef. They had a disagreement. You stole my toilet paper. Oh, yeah, my army's going to kick your ass. Fuck you. I'm going to get my army. It's got elephants, giants, and warlocks, bitch. And they would create fucked up shit and throw it at you. In these armies, man, I'm telling you, this is the greatest, like, my army versus your army as little kids as you ever could think about. This is what they said they did. And then there was no more people. So what happened? These motherfuckers fought each other. And they're like, oh, no, it's the curse of Cain. But what happened? We're talking the millennials. Marduk is the first son of Lord Enki. So you got, you know, that's the grandfathers on Nibiru sitting on a throne. Then Marduk and Enki are the next generation. The next generation after that, what I thought was Inanna and Utu and Marduk, and then on so on and so on and so forth. Well, the ones they're talking about that got killed are like the 4th, 5th generation or some shit that got created on Earth. They were born here on Earth. Nibiru, they were Nibiruian Anunnaki, but they were born here on Earth. And what they said was that generation looked exactly, height, skin tone, everything about them was everything about what they had created. They said we looked exactly like them. Damn. Well, that's fucked up. So think about that. The millennials looked exactly like us. Any generation of those creatures born, the Anunnaki born on this planet after that, would always look like us. We're always looking for aliens and shit. It's us. Whatever blood type that is that made the Anunnaki people that were here. You heard her just talk about, I'm trying to get to that. So we got God's people, Noah's people, right? So supposedly Jewish, I would think. Or would it be the Turkey people, the Troy people, right? Who people are we really talking about? We're God's people, you know? You relate it to Jewish somehow with Jesus and stuff, but that's not who Noah created. Noah was creating people, just people. I don't think they thought of anything like, where am I from? I'm thinking, I'm on the only piece of land surrounded by water. Let's start fucking and shit. You know what I mean? And then they waited till a lot more land got made so they can make the animals and shit. They weren't overrun by piss and shit and around by bum piss and shit. Here she's talking about those people were there creating life. And then we got the fallen angels and Satan. Fucking goddamn motherfucking Satan on earth, walking the earth. He's making people too. Him and his crew, all those 22, 200, whatever the fuck, fallen, they're making 144,000. And those people are spreading out where they say they're spreading out. Those are the kids, children on the rocket ships. And if you go to those areas like Lebanon, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, that's exactly who they're talking about. That's just what the fuck they're talking about. And those people, even though they got spread out like the Jews, they got spread out. But what do? They went right back to that fucking landing spot because they know there's a spaceship. They think it's a Holy Spirit going to come down and land in a seat that they built for like a throne. That motherfucker don't care about no throne. You're going to land a ship on that and melt all that gold. I'm going to be there like this. Hell yeah, give me some of that shit. What do we got next, though? I just want to get you in the right round. We got supposedly God's people on the planet repopulating, and we got the fallen angels, the Igigi, the fallen angels, and Satan, literally the devil, creating another whole race of people on the planet. So here we go. And remember, Noah was white. So don't give me that shit that the devil was making white people. Get the fuck out of here. We ain't white devils.
To overrun the place of the celestial chariots, the Igigi and their earthlings threatened. In the dark-hued lands, the child Horon, by Earth's quick life cycles, to a hero grew.
Horus.
By his great uncle Gibil was Horon adopted. By him was he trained and instructed. For him Gibil winged sandals for soaring fashioned. To fly like a falcon he was able. For him Gibil a divine harpoon made. Its arrows bolts of missiles were.
Do you hear this? He made shoes that could fly. He made a spear that shot missiles, like a gun. He made him a gun, a rocket launcher, and the goddamn shoes that could fly. Goddamn.
In the highlands of the south did him Gibil and the arts of metals and smithing teach. In the secret of a metal called iron, Gibil to Horon revealed. From it weapons Horon made, from loyal earthlings an army he raised.
See?
To challenge Satu and the Igigi northward, across land and river they marched.
Gods of Egypt.
When Horon and his earthlings armor, the border of Tillman, the land of the missiles, reached, Satu to Horon words of challenge sent. Between us two alone is the conflict. Let us one-on-one in contest meet. In the skies above Tillman, Satu in his whirlwind for combat Horon awaited. When Horon toward him like a falcon skyward soared, a poisoned dart at him Satu shot. Like a scorpion's sting, it Horon fell. Like a scorpion's sting, it Horon felled. When Asta this saw, a cry to heaven she sent forth. For Ningazida she cried out. From his celestial boat Ningazida came down. To save the hero, for his mother he came. With magic powers, Ningazida the poison to benevolent blood converted.
How?
With magic powers, Ningazida the poison to benevolent blood converted.
So aliens, people from a different planet, they're talking about magic. People flying in the sky, shooting each other and shit. There was not fought on the ground. That's what they said in the old times. While the humans fought on the ground, there was a war in heaven that you could not see because they were on a different frequency. They would be invisible to us. And they were up there killing each other. Somehow they drew it all down. Mahabharata. Go check that book out.
By morning was Horon healed. From the dead was he returned. Then with a fiery pillar, like a heavenly fish with fins and a fiery tail, Ningazida to Horon provided. Its eyes from blue to red to blue their colors changed. Toward the triumphant Satu, Horon in the fiery pillar soared. Far and wide each other they chased. Fierce and deadly was the battle. At first Horon's fiery pillar was hit. Then with his harpoon Horon Satu smote. To the ground Satu crashing down came. By Horon in tethers he was bound. When before the council Horon with his captive uncle came, they saw that he was blinded, his testicles squashed. Like a discarded jar he stood. Let Satu, blind and airless, live. So did Asta to the council say.
Airless, meaning he can't. I told you they went after everyone's junk. They fucking squashed his balls so he could never have children, right? Airless, like meaning he can't have an heir.
To end his days as a mortal among the Igigi, the council his fate determined. Triumphant was Horon declared, the throne of his father to inherit. On a metal tablet was the council's decision inscribed. In the hall of records they placed it. In his abode, Marduk with the decision was pleased. By what had happened he was sorrowed. Though Horon, a son of Asar, his son was, from Shamgaz, the Igigi, he was descended. A domain, one as among the Anunnaki allocated, to him was not given. Having lost both sons, in each other Marduk and Sarpanit solace sought. In time to them another son was born, Nabu, prophecy bearer, they named him.
Yeah, so all these people were descendants of so-called Satan. They were his people, his bloodline.
So now this is the account of why in the faraway a new chariot's place was built. And the love of Dumuzi and Inanna that Marduk by Dumuzi's death disrupted.
Now you hear that? In the far away. You go look at Europe. If I got a plane, a spaceship, a helicopter, anything fucking like that, that's all right here, right now, right? They went to the far away in this land. So we're going to find out where the fuck this was. Let's just think hard when they're talking geographic, like they talk about falls and lakes and how many there are. Just think hard about where that is on this planet. And you're going to be like, wow, there's really only one fucking place on the planet this could be talking about. And it's going to blow your butthole right out of your pants. I'm telling you, everything you knew and thought about where you live is going to blow wide the fuck open, dude. You're going to be like, holy shit.
It was after the contesting of Horon and Satu and their aerial battle over Tilman that Enlil, his 3 sons, to a council summoned. With concern to them of what was happening, he said, in the beginning the earthlings in our image and after our likeness we made. Now the Anunnaki offspring in the image and likeness of the earthlings became. Then it was Cain who his brother killed. Now a son of Marduk is his brother's killer. For the first time ever, an Anunnaki offspring from earthlings an army raised.
Yep. Here you go. Now here's history, right? You talk about bloody wars all throughout what were the Zeus days, right? Let's just go with the Zeus era, right? So this is the start of it. This is where they started building all these fucking armies, dude.
Weapons from a metal of the Anunnaki, a secret, in their hands he placed. From the days when by Alelu and Anzu our legitimacy was challenged, disruption and rule breaking by the Igigi continued. Now the beacon peaks in the domain of Marduk are located. The landing place by the Igigi is held. Now toward the place of the chariots, the Igigi are advancing. In the name of Satu to all the heaven-earth facilities they claim will lay.
That means they're breeding so many people. They know, because, you know, they got the shaft on Mars, dude. They got no women for hundreds of thousands of years. And they're like, yo, if we get on this planet, we can outbreed these motherfuckers. All our people will be everywhere. They won't let us buy the spaceships. Yo, let's breed so many people that it just floods over there. This is where we're at today, people. Man, this is insane, this story.
So did Enlil to his 3 sons say, to take counter steps. To them he proposed.
This is God to the devil.
An alternative heaven-earth facility in secret establish we must.
Heaven to earth facility. So they built a space station.
Let it in Ninurta's land beyond the oceans in the midst of trusted earthlings come to be. Thus was the secret mission in the hands of Ninurta entrusted. In the mountain lands beyond the oceans, beside the great lake, a new bond heaven-earth he was setting up. Within an enclosure he placed it. At the foot of the mountains where the gold nuggets were scattered, a plain with firm ground he chose. On it for ascent and descent markings he made. Primitive are the facilities, but the purpose they will serve. So did Ninurta to his father Enlil in good time declare. From there, gold shipments to Nibiru can continue. From there, in need, we too can ascend. At that time, what as a blessed event began as a horrible occurrence ended. At that time, Dumuzi, Enki's youngest son, to Inanna, Nanar's daughter a liking took.
So hold on 1 second before you go farther away from this. You hit this.
Okay.
So where she's talking about here, right, was there was a gash in the earth. So the whole North America and all this shit was covered by a big ice sheet, all the whole top of the planet. When the South started shaking, the inside. So people think that the what is it called? The southern lands, right? I don't really think the southern lands were down here on the globe, because that was all ice too. I think southern lands were inside the planet, started rumbling. That's where earthquakes come from. I keep disappearing in the clouds. Earthquakes come from inside of our planet, right? So the inside of the planet started fucking rumbling and shit, shaking shit apart, right? And broke down ice sheets off of the top of the planet, and it came crashing down into the South Sea. Well, there's like land and shit down there, so maybe it was turned a different kind of way, right? Regardless, it put a big ass gash in the earth when this happened. Okay, well, let's look at the northern part of the whole world. Let's look at it. Is there a huge gash anywhere in the northern hemisphere? Yeah. Man, it's called the Grand Canyon and shit, right? So gold nuggets just falling out everywhere, like your purse is open full of change.
We're talking massive beings that are calling these things boulders. So how big do you think the motherfuckers were?
Yeah. They ripped open. You know how California Gold Rush was? You know how all that shit was? So all that over there, like they don't let you go mine gold in the Grand Canyon and shit. You know why? Because it's full of fucking gold. They took a whole bunch. So at the foot of the mountains, and you can go there and find mountains, there's this big ass platform. Now they had to make it primitive. And you might say, well, TwizTD, how the fuck are they landing spaceships on logs? They weren't. They landed their spaceships on mounds. Go across everywhere across the whole United States. You're going to find mound builder people. They built mounds. What the fuck they build mounds for? Everyone wants to know what the fuck they build mounds for. The spaceships had to land somewhere. If they landed every time in the middle of the woods, the whole woods would catch on fire and everything burned the fuck down. They had to be above everything. Just put your mind to it. Put fire and pine trees in the mix to think about this realm. Why would they be up way the fuck up there? Why all down South America? Why are those pyramids so tall? That makes no fucking sense unless the bottom of your spaceship emits fire out of it. You don't want to burn everybody, you know what I'm saying? And that radiation, it said that every spaceship that's ever come in contact with people has given them radiation poisoning. Well, they want to kill the people that was fucking mining gold for them. That's all they were doing. Look at every culture. All they wanted was pretty little things that came out of the ground. We learned that. We learned that because we used to do it all the time. That's all we did all day. We slept, drank, ate, and shit, mining gold, metals, and precious gems to give to people. So much, in fact, that when they went to so-called go up to heaven and got into the throne room of God, and they saw all the pretty gems of all different colors on the walls, and the floors were shiny, like metallic and shiny, like silver or golds or whatever. It's describing a spaceship with a whole bunch of damn buttons and gadgets and gizmos. Is what it was, but they didn't know because the only thing they knew was gold, silver, platinum, aluminum, tin, and a whole bunch of gems. That's all they knew. So that's the only thing they had. And birds flying in the sky, pillars of smoke. What's a spaceship look like when it takes off? It leaves a huge pillar of smoke. When it comes down, it's got to do the same thing. It's flying across the sky. It's the same goddamn thing. Some people might say it's a dragon. It's a fire-breathing dragon. You know, you might say, but that's backwards. The fire comes out of the back. Now that they're fighting each other, they literally had fucking atomic weapons, and we're getting to that. I don't want to stop the beautiful hippie witch. She was doing something over here.
Okay, I got to figure out where I was. My bad.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Yeah, I'll talk a few more minutes. Looney Productions.
Say hi to everybody real quick.
Looney Productions is living in the original place, I believe, where the people of Cain were. You know, he had walked to the east, you know, and they were beardless people. So you go to like China, Asia areas. Those are beardless people back in the ancient times. You go to Polynesia, those were beardless people back in the ancient time. I believe they were beardless people. And then you come over to the Native American or indigenous Americas people, North and South and Central. Those were beardless people in those days. So it's just fucking crazy that one person created a whole fucking bunch of people. So, there's all kinds of different people on this planet, and everyone thinks that we came from this one God and one story and one person. How can that be true if all these different colors are on the planet? We didn't get burnt. No one got, everyone wasn't white. And then you went to Africa, and over thousands of years, you developed brown skin to protect yourself from the sun. Bullshit. Losing the melanation is the curse. That's the problem. That's why we get fucked up. That's why radiation fucks us up. You know what I mean? So we're going to hear about some more of this shit.
So did Enlil to his 3 sons say to take counter steps to them he proposed. An alternative heaven-earth facility in secret establish we must. Let it in Ninurta's land beyond the oceans, in the midst of trusted earthlings, come to be. Thus was the secret mission in the hands of Ninurta entrusted. In the mountain lands beyond the oceans, beside the great lake, a new bond, heaven-earth, he was setting up. Within an enclosure he placed it. At the foot of the mountains, where the gold nuggets were scattered, a plain with firm ground he chose. On it, for ascent and descent, markings he made. Primitive are the facilities, but the purpose they will serve. So did Ninurta to his father Enlil in good time declare. From there, gold shipments to Nibiru can continue. From there, in need, we too can ascend. At that time was as a blessed event began, as a horrible occurrence ended. At that time, Dumuzi, Enki's youngest son, to Inanna, Nanar's daughter, a liking took. Inanna, Enlil's granddaughter, by the Lord of Herding, was captivated. A love that knows no bounds engulfed them, a passion their hearts inflamed. Many of the love songs that for a long time thereafter were sung, Inanna and Dumuzi were the first to sing them. By song their love they recounted. To Dumuzi, his youngest son, Enki, a large domain above the Abzu allotted. Meluha, the Black Land, was its name. Highland trees grew, its waters abundant were. Large bulls among its river reeds roamed, greatly numbered were its cattle. Silver from its mountains came, its copper bright as gold was a glitter. Greatly beloved was Dumuzi, by Enki after the death of Asar he was favored. Of his youngest brother Marduk was jealous. Inanna by her parents, Nanar and Ningal, was beloved. Enlil by her cradle sat. Beautiful beyond describing she was, in martial arts with Anunnaki heroes she competed. Of journeys in the heavens.
Hear that? Martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So, who was that?
That is the beautiful Inanna.
Inanna. Let's go to Japan. Let's go to Japan. Find out who came down and created people over there in Japan. You can find a woman who taught them martial arts. Man, I'm telling you, I don't know.
Beautiful beyond describing she was.
That's what she was described in China and Japan too.
In martial arts with Anunnaki heroes she competed. Of journeys in the heavens and of celestial boats from her brother Utu she learned. A skyship of her own to roam the earth's skies to her the Anunnaki presented. After the deluge, on the landing platform, Dumuzi and Inanna, their eyes on each other set. At the dedication of the artificed mounts was between them a warm encounter. Hesitant at first they were, he of Enki's clan, she of Enlil, an offspring. When Ninarsag, for peace, the disputing clans together brought, Inanna and Dumuzi away from the others to be together managed. Love to each other they professed. As they went strolling together, sweet words of alluring love to each other they said. Side by side they lay down, one heart with the other heart chatted. Around her waist, Dumuzi put his arm, like a wild bull to take her, he wished.
Ooh.
Let me teach you, to Inanna, Dumuzi said. Gently she kissed him. Then to him of her mother she spoke. What fib could I tell my mother? What words will you tell Ningal? Let us of our love, my mother, tell. Of joy cedar perfume she will on us sprinkle. To the dwelling place of Ningal, Inanna's mother, the lovers went.
Imagine how like natural and raw they were. They put cedar tar perfume. So basically you take cedar tar or whatnot, make a tincture out of it, and that was their perfume. It smelled like fucking pine trees.
Mm.
How fucking awesome.
To them Ningal her blessing gave. Of Dumuzi, the mother of Inanna, approved. Lord Dumuzi, as a son-in-law of Nanar, you are worthy. To him she said. Dumuzi, as bridegroom by Nanar himself, was welcomed. Inanna's brother Utu, let it so be, said. Perchance the espousing peace between the clans truly will bring, Enlil to them all said. When of the love and betrothal Dumuzi to his father and brother spoke, Enki of peace through espousal also was thinking. His blessing to Dumuzi he gave. Dumuzi's brothers, all except Marduk, about the espousal were joyful. A betrothal bed of gold by Gibil was fashioned. Nergal, blue-hued lapis stones sent. Sweet dates of fruit by Inanna favored. Beside the bed they in a pile placed. Under the fruits, the beads of lapis they hid for Inanna to discover. As the custom was, to perfume and clothe Inanna, a sister of Dumuzi, was sent. Geshtinanna, a sister-in-law to be, was her name. To her, Inanna, what was in her heart revealed. Of her future with Dumuzi, to her she said, a vision of great nation I have. As a great Anunnaki, Dumuzi there will rise. His name over others shall be exalted. His queen spouse I shall be. Princely status we will share. Rebellious countries we shall together subdue. To Dumuzi I will status give. The country I will rightly direct. Inanna's visions of rulership and glory by Geshtinanna to her brother Marduk were reported. By Inanna's ambitions, Marduk was greatly disturbed. To Geshtinanna, a secret plan he told. To her brother Dumuzi, to the herder's dwelling, Geshtinanna went. Lovely to behold and perfumed to her brother Dumuzi, thus she said, before with your young wife in your embrace, with you will sleep. A legitimate heir by a sister born you must have. Inanna's son to succession shall not be entitled. On your mother's knees he will not be raised. She put his hand on her hand. She pressed her body against his body. My brother, with you I will lie down. Bridegroom, with you a peer of Enki we shall have. So did Geshtinanna to Dumuzi whisper, a noble issue from her womb to have. Into her womb Dumuzi poured the semen. By her caressing he fell asleep. During the night Dumuzi had a dream, a premonition of death he envisioned. In the dream, 7 evil bandits he saw coming into his dwelling. The master has sent us for you, son of Dutur, to him they said. They chased away his ewes, his lambs, and kids they drove away. The headdress of lordship they took off his head. The royal robe off his body they tore. The staffing of shepherding they took and broke. His cup from its peg they threw down. Naked and barefooted they seized him. In fetters they his hands bound. In the name of the princely bird and the falcon they left him dying. Disturbed and startled, Dumuzi in the middle of the night awoke. To Geshtinanna the dream he told. The dream is not favorable, Geshtinanna to the distraught Dumuzi said. Marduk of raping me will accuse you. Evil emissaries to arrest you he will send. To try you and disgrace you he will order. The liaison with an Enlilite to disunite. As a wounded beast, Dumuzi a cry roared. Betrayal, betrayal, he shouted. To Utu, Inanna's brother, help me, word he sent. The name of his father Enki as a talisman he uttered. Through the desert of Emush, the snake's desert, Dumuzi rushed to escape. To the place of mighty waterfalls, from the evildoers he ran to hide. Where the gushing waters the rocks to slippery smoothness made, Dumuzi slipped and fell. On the onrushing waters, his lifeless body in a white froth swept away.
So that's super duper duper interesting right there. If you listen to all this stuff, so it's like Inanna and Dumuzi are going around the world. Inanna is known as the frequency goddess, the witch. She went around with Dumuzi and was teaching all the people all of the truth, the truth about their power and what they could do with it and what humans can do with it, because they are us and we are them. We have exactly what they have. We just don't know how to use it anymore because they were the teachers. They taught us it all. It's saying it right here in their writings. They wrote it themselves. So they're teaching all these people the truth. Now, Marduk, remember, Marduk's God. He's like, I'm God, bitch. Don't tell these fucking people the truth about what we are and what we do. This is, hey, motherfucker. So Dumuzi, he knows this is not what they're supposed to be doing. So he has a dream vision that all these motherfuckers, 7 motherfuckers, are going to come and kill him. And they're going to chase away all my sheeple, all my ewes, and all my shit. All my lands are going to die. Like, they had lands. Now, if you go into Japan, right? Go over to Japan. They have a creation story of a man and a woman coming down from the sky and creating people there. And the woman was so fucking beautiful, blah, 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 blah. It's not in Dumuzi, dude. It's fucking Adam and Eve right there. Or, I mean, Mary and Jesus. I'm telling you. So, Dumuzi, he chased them across the what was it called? The desert of snakes in the Bible.
Desert of Emush, the snake's desert.
The snake's desert. What was Jesus doing before God called him forth? He was walking through the desert of snakes, right? Talking to the devil, the serpent, right? I mean, it's crazy. So he slips and falls and dies in these great falls. Wherever this great fall might be, right? He dies. And he goes and travels through the Great Lakes. Right? Great Lakes.
Now, this is the account of Inanna's descent to the lower Abzu.
What?
And the great Anunnaki war, and how Marduk in the Ikur alive was imprisoned.
Now remember, when they made the underworld, they came from space, from Mars, and they went underground. They were like, hey, man, I don't want these fucking other Anunnaki coming down here and get me. So they put gates in. These gates were powerful weapons that would strip off your armor, strip off your skin, strip your muscle off, strip your bone. You'd be just soul. By the time you got to their faces, you would only be a soul and have no power on this realm. You'd have no power in this realm to them. You know what I mean? So that's what is about to happen here to Inanna. And this is so crazy because if you forgot before, the gates they put up on the underworld, we call them the gates of hell. You got to pass through them and shit. Nope, it strips you down. So that way the super powerful Anunnaki witches they were couldn't come in there and be like, yeah! They had no power when they got there. Took all their magic away. They were stripped down to a soul. No skin, no body, no nothing.
When the lifeless body of Dumuzi from the Great Lakes waters by Ninagal was retrieved, to the abode of Nergal and Erishkigal in the lower Abzu, the body was brought. On a stone slab was the dead body of Dumuzi, a son of Enki, placed. When of what had happened word to Enki was sent, Enki rent his clothes. On his forehead he put ashes. My son, for Dumuzi he lamented. What have I sinned to be so punished? Out loud he asked. When I to earth from Nibiru came, Ea, whose name home is waters, was my name. With waters did the celestial chariots obtain their thrust power. In waters I splashed down. Then by an avalanche of waters the earth was swept over. In waters did Asar my grandchild drown. By waters my beloved Dumuzi is now dead. Everything I had done, for righteous purpose did I do it. Why am I punished? Why has fate against me turned? So did Enki bewail and lament. When did Geshtinana the veracity of occurrences was discovered? Greater was Enki's agony. Now Marduk, my firstborn, for his deed will also suffer. By the disappearance, the death of Dumuzi, was Inanna worried, then grieved. Then to the lower Abzu she hurried, Dumuzi's body for burial to retrieve. When Ereshkigal, her sister, of the arrival of Inanna at the precinct's gates was told, Ereshkigal, a devious scheme on the part of Inanna, suspected. At each of the seven...
Ereshkigal. She's got to say it right. This is the chick sitting on the throne in hell, what you call hell, Christians. She got big old titties. She's wearing like dominatrix type shit. She got a whip. They described her back when. And Ereshkigal, that's where it gets. You got to, from your lower regions, squeeze, and it gets tight down there. That's what it is.
Ereshkigal, a devious scheme on the part of Inanna, suspected. At each of the 7 gates, one of Inanna's accoutrements and weapons was from her removed.
Accoutrements is the word they use. So armor, weapons. Her weapon, she didn't carry a weapon. Her weapon was witchcraft, frequency, one of her powers like flight, telecommunication, throwing lightning out of her hands. All those things were being stripped from her through these 7 gates, not 9. It's important to know.
Then, unclothed and powerless before Ereshkigal's throne, of scheming and error by Nergal, Dumuzi's brother, she was accused. Trembling with fury, Ereshkigal, to her sister's explanations, would not listen. Let loose against her the 60 diseases, Ereshkigal, her vizier Namtar, in anger ordered. By the disappearance of Inanna in the lower Abzu were her parents much worried. Nanar to Enlil, and the matter went. Enlil to Enki a message sent. From Nergal his son, Ereshkigal's spouse, Enki what had happened learned. From clay of the Abzu, Enki 2 emissaries fashioned, beings without blood, by death raised unharmed.
Hold on, this is in your Bible. This is the story of Jesus. This is his resurrection out of hell, right? This is the not female, not male. This is where you get it. This is in the Jewish Bible. What do they call this motherfucker? I forgot now. Gollum. He made 2 golems out of clay, breathed life into them with a spell. They weren't male, they weren't female, and put them in hell to go get them out. This is insane. Can you read that again, please?
From clay of the Abzu, Enki 2 emissaries fashioned, beings without blood, by death rays unharmed. To the lower Abzu he sent them, Inanna to bring back, whether alive or dead. When before Ereshkigal they came, Ereshkigal by their appearance was puzzled. Are you Anunnaki? Are you earthlings? With bewilderment she asked them.
The fuck are you?
Namtar, the magical weapons of power against them directed.
Yep.
But unharmed the 2 were. To the
So everyone else had these magical powers that they had to get stripped off before they could get there, because they knew if they got there with those powers, they'd whoop their ass down there in the underworld, right down in hell. So they had to strip their powers. These things didn't have any powers, and none of that shit affected them, so they got right through, and they're like, what the fuck? So they're like, hey, let's blast them with our weapons. Nothing worked. It's crazy.
To the lifeless body of Inanna he took them. Hanging from a stake she was.
Wow.
Upon the corpse, the clay emissaries a pulsar and an emitter directed. When the water of life on her they sprinkled, in her mouth the plant of life they placed. Then Inanna stirred, her eyes she opened, from the dead Inanna arose.
Wow.
When the 2 emissaries, Inanna to the upper world, were ready to return, Inanna, the lifeless body of Dumuzi, to take along them ordered.
So she grabbed Dumuzi on the way out.
At the 7 gates of the lower Abzu, to Inanna, her accoutrements and attributes were returned. to the abode of Dumuzi in the black land of the lover, the lover of her youth, to take the emissaries she ordered. There to wash him with pure water, with sweet oil him anoint. Then to clothe him in a red shroud, upon a slab of lapis lay him. Then in the rocks for him a rest place carve out, the day of arising there to wait. As for herself, to the abode of Enki Inanna set her steps. Retribution for her beloved's death she wanted. The death of Marduk, the culprit, she demanded. There has been death enough, Enki to her said. Marduk an instigator was, but murder he committed not. When Inanna learned that Marduk would not by Enki be punished, Inanna to her parents and brother went. To high heaven she a wailing raised. Justice, revenge, death to Marduk, she cried for. At Enlil's abode, his sons, Inanna and Utu, joined. For a council of war they gathered. Ninurta, whom the rebel Anzu defeated, for strong measures argued. Of secret words between Marduk and the Igigi exchanged, Utu to them reported. Of Marduk, an evil serpent, earth must be rid. Enlil with them agreed.
So see, Enlil being up in the sky refers to the people on the ground as evil serpents when they're bad. That's the representation of being the ground people, is the serpent symbol.
When the demand for Marduk's surrender to Enki, his father, was sent, Enki to his abode, Marduk and all the other sons summoned. Though for my beloved Dumuzi I am still grieving, Marduk's rights I must defend. Though evil did Marduk instigate, by ill fate, not by Marduk's hand, did Dumuzi die. Marduk is my firstborn, Ninki is his mother, for succession he is destined. From death by Ninurta's gang, by us all he must be protected, so did Enki say. Only Gibil and Ninagal their father's call heeded. Ningazida was opposed. Nergal was hesitant. Only if in mortal danger he will I help, he said. It was after that a war of ferocity unknown between the two clans erupted. Unlike the contending of Horon and Satu, of earthlings descended, it was a battle between Anunnaki. Nibruan born among them on another planet was loosed. By Inanna was the warfare begun. In her skyship to the domains of Enki's sons she crossed over. Marduk to battle she challenged. To the domains of Ninagal and Gibil she him pursued. To assist her, Ninurta from his storm bird withering beams at the enemy's strongholds shot. Ishkur from the skies with scorching lightnings and smashing thunders attacked. In the Abzu from the rivers fish he washed away, cattle in the fields he dispersed. To the north, the place of the artificed mounts, Marduk then retreated. Pursuing him, Ninurta on the habitations, poison-bearing missiles rained.
So he fucked up all their shit and then left to the mountains. He's like, fine, fuck you, I'm leaving.
His weapons that tear apart. His weapon that tears apart the people in those lands robbed of their senses. The canals that the river's waters bore, red from blood became.
Wow.
Ishkur's brilliances, the night's darkness into flaming days converted.
So in Egypt, there's times where they said the rivers ran red. Well, the rivers all come from the mountains. So in the mountains, they were killing every single fucking thing up there. So many things that the rivers ran red in the mountains, which means, shit rolls downhill. It came down to Egypt and then shit like that. That's insane hearing that right there. Wow.
It's a lot of blood.
That is. This is his time.
As the devastating battles northward advanced, Marduk and the Ikur himself ensconced. Gibil for it an unseen shield devised. Nergal to heaven its all-seeing eye raised. With a weapon of brilliance, by a horn directed, Inanna the hiding place attacked. Horon to defend his grandfather came. By her brilliance was his right eye damaged. While Utu, the Igigi, and their horde of earthlings beyond Tillman held off. At the foot of the artificed mounts, Anunnaki, this and that clan supporting, in battle clashed. Let Marduk surrender, let the bloodshed end, so did Enlil and Enki words convey. Let brother talk to brother, to Enki Ninarsag a message sent. In his hideout, within the Ikur, Marduk his pursuers to defy continued. Within the house which like a mountain is, his final stand he made. Inanna, the massive stone structure, could not surmount. Its smooth sides her weapons deflected. Then Ninurta of the secret entrance learned. The swivel stone on the north side he found. Through a dark corridor Ninurta passed. The grand gallery he reached. Its vault by the many-hued emissions of the crystals like a rainbow was a glitter.
So there was crystals in the pyramids.
Inside, by the intrusion alerted, Marduk with ready weapons Ninurta awaited. With weapons responding, smashing the wonder crystals, Ninurta up the gallery kept going. Into the upper chamber, the place of the great pulsating stone, Marduk retreated. At its entrance, Marduk the sliding stone locks lowered. From one and all admission they barred. Into the Ikur, Inanna and Ishkur Ninurta followed. What next to do they contemplated.
So they're inside the pyramid. Marduk ran all the way up. They smashed the crystals that power the pyramid, but he's up there at the emitting stone. Some kind of big Nibiru
Great
crystal
pulsating stone.
mixed. I think it was a Nibiru crystal mixed with alloys from this planet. And we researched some stuff this morning about some vibranium and how that was possible. That was cool. But also, like, so there was locking doors. Like, you saw all these things about Egypt and mummies and shit, how they had all the locking doors and stuff, and it was all
secret passages and
scientifical rocks that moved.
So he's like running through this shit, trying to get away from him.
He's trying to lock doors behind him and shit.
Crashing crystals as he goes, so it's not even, they can't even use it anymore. He's like fucking shit up. At its entrance, Marduk, the sliding stone locks lowered. From one and all admission they barred. Into the Ikur, Inanna and Ishkur Ninurta followed. What next to do they contemplated. Let the encased hiding chamber be Marduk's stone coffin, to them Ishkur said. To 3 blocking stones, ready for down gliding, Ishkur their attention drew. Let slow death, by a live being buried, be Marduk's sentence. Inanna her consent gave. At the end of the gallery, the blocking stones let loose. Each one of them 1 stone for plugging slid down. Marduk, as in a tomb to seal. Now this is the account of how Marduk was saved and to exile departed.
Yeah.
And how the Ikur was dismantled and lordship over the lands rearranged.
So you hear that? So whatever pyramid they were in, they dismantled it. So it's not a pyramid you can find today. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's in Egypt. It says smooth sides, and you might be thinking of something, but there's pyramids all over the fucking planet. And this is after the flood. So the water level would be the same. They're talking about a pyramid that would have been on this planet. They dismantled it, though. So I don't know where the fuck that shit is.
Away from the sun and light, without food or water, Marduk within the Ikur alive was entombed. By his imprisonment and punishment without trial, Sarpanit, his spouse, a wailing raised.
The human woman.
To Enki, her father-in-law, she hurried. With the young son, Nabu, to him she came.
Nabu, first, that's like your first one. Human, that's your human Anunnaki born people that are like going to keep going.
To be among the living, Marduk must be returned, to Enki, Sarpanit said. He sent her to Utu and Nanar, who with Inanna can intercede. Wearing a garment of atonement, to the Lord Marduk give life, she pleaded. Let him humbly life continue. Rulership he will lay aside. Appeased was not Inanna. For the death of my beloved, the instigator must die, Inanna retorted. Ninarsag, the peacemaker, the brothers Enki and Enlil summoned. Punishment to Marduk must come. Death is not warranted to them, she said. Let Marduk in exile live, the succession on earth to Ninurta submit. Enlil by her words was pleased and smiled. Ninurta was his son, of Ninurta she was the mother. If between succession and life the choice is, what can I, a father, say? So did Enki with heavy heart answer. In my lands widespread is the desolation. Warfare must end. For Dumuzi I am still in mourning. Let Marduk live in exile. If peace is to be returned and Marduk shall live, binding arrangements must be made, Enlil to Enki said. All facilities that heaven and earth bond, to my hands alone must be entrusted. The mastery over the land of the Two Narrows to another son of yours you must give. The Igigi who Marduk follow, the landing place, must give up and abandon. To a land of no return, by no descendant of Zusudra inhabited, must Marduk to exile go.
So that he had to go from all those places. None of the places, he wasn't allowed to make people and live in any of the places that you formerly heard in this story, right? So we heard about all the different landing spots in Abzus and all that place. He couldn't go to the land of the Two Narrows, which you guys know there's a whole Jewish thing, Two Narrows, that's what their flag is. And he couldn't go to anywhere the people of Zusudra, Noah, inhabited. Right? There's only one place. Well, there's a couple islands, I guess, he could have been to. But there's one place that he went to. And you remember, he was Ra. This is the whole problem for him. He had this big fucking head. He was like, I was promised to lead. Like, why can't I lead? This is bullshit. He was really pissed. He became Ra, and he was like, oh, this is the shit. And then he got in trouble. All the gods got in trouble, right? They all got in trouble, got knocked down from their kingship and said, hey, bitch, remember, you're not in charge here, bro. We let you have fun with your kids for a couple 100,000 years. You know, to them.
Now you're overstepping and you're getting too big for your fucking britches.
You gotta remember, to them, 1 year is 3,600 years to the earthling people that you're in charge of.
And they've been in charge for years.
If I'm Lord Enki and she's Marduk and I go, all right, bro, take care of them. You can have Iran and Iraq for one of our cycles, 1 year, one shard. Like, really? 3,600 years? Fuck yeah. Dude, look, just go through history and look at what the fuck happened in a 36-year period in those areas. You're going to be like, holy fuck, they rose and fell. Civilizations were annihilated. People were taken over. Things were formed.
Things were learned.
Yeah. It's just amazing. In one of their shars, one of their years, when you put it in the 3,600 of ours and start ticking time in our years, you're like, that was 1 of the years. That was 2 of the years. That was 3 of the years. They literally could be like, hey, you want to take over? Take a little. Hey, there's some land over there. No one's there. Why don't you take the meat formulas? Go over there, make you some people. And then what would happen? They'd be like, hey, they're getting a little big over there. Well, let's go see what's happening. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, fuck you, man. I'm bringing my army to kill your guys. And you're going to come back and go back on the ship. Is what they make them do. You're back on the ship. Dude. Your shore leave is over. And, it's amazing what could have happened in those short period of times. They said the Mayans only lived 3,400 years. Not even one shar. Not even one. But you hear that was Ninerzag or one of, I forget who created all these people. It was Cain's people, who they're all talking about. The new miners, the gold mining people were indigenous people of North and South America. This is exactly who they're talking about now. Because remember, all the old mining facilities, all the old landing platforms, all that shit got buried in mud. They had to do a massive dig out of all that old shit, but they didn't revisit their old mines. It probably was that they're like, man, that shit was so deep before. Now it's all filled in. We'd have to dig so deep just to fucking get to where the gold was. So they're like, oh, wait, over here. It's all spilling out of the ground. Now we know that they landed next to a big lake. Now, could that lake be one of our Great Lakes in North America, or could have been, was it Lake Titicaca? Lake Titicaca in South America, where there's a big motherfucking landing plant for right next to it, and that's where they mined it. Yeah, baby. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's just so amazing.
So did Enlil forcefully declare to be foremost among the brothers he meant. The hand of fate Enki in his heart acknowledged. Let it so be, with bowed head he said. Ningizida alone with Ekur innards knows. Let him over its land the master be. After the decisions by the great Anunnaki were announced, Ningizida for the rescue they summoned. How Marduk from the blocked and sealed innards to extricate was his challenge.
Like Ningizida, he's been through everything. He knows it all. Like, this dude is the great knower. Or sometimes you guys might know him as Thoth. I believe he's Thoth.
To let free the one who alive is buried, a task beyond conceiving to him they gave. Ningizida, the Ekur's secret designs contemplated.
See?
How to circumvent the blockings he planned.
He's Thoth, the creator of the damn pyramids.
Through a chiseled upper opening, Marduk will be rescued. To the leaders he said, at a place which I will show them, a doorway in the stones they will cut. From it upward a twisting passageway they shall bore, a rescue shaft creating. Through hidden hollowings to the Ekur's midst they will continue. At the vortex of the hollowings, through the stones they will break through. A doorway to the insides they will blow open, thereby the blockings circumventing. Up the grand gallery they will continue. The 3 stone bars they will raise. The uppermost chamber, Marduk's death prison, they will reach. Anunnaki by Ningizida guided, his outline plan then followed. With tools that crack the stones, the opening they made, the rescue shaft they fashioned, the insides of the artificed mount they reached, an exit they blew open. Circumventing the 3 blocking stones, the uppermost chamber they reached. On a small platform, the portcullises they raised. Marduk fainted, they rescued. Carefully through the twisting shaft, they the Lord lowered. To fresh air they him brought.
Yep. So here, there's no, when they show us, maybe they're lying, but when they show us what the pyramid looks like inside, you didn't hear anything. Like, you could just fathom what that looked like, what they had to go through, all these different chambers and shit. Our pyramids ain't shaped like nothing like that, because our pyramids that we have left are the technological pyramids. This here is talking about house like a mountain. So literally, you got to remember, he was, what did you call that, narcissist, real big-headed, thought he was the fucking shit. He literally was like, yo, I want my house to look like that fucking Great Pyramid. So all the people built his house to look like the Great Pyramid, but inside looked like a house, like chambers and shit. And the top was his penthouse up here, and they had to blast through all that. Remember, they crumbled the whole bottom of it, and then the top was where he lived. This is kind of what they're describing. Not these pyramids we're seeing in Egypt, how it's like the queen's chamber and the king's chamber, and it's like people can't fit in that motherfucker, let alone if they were bigger than us back then. They ain't fitting in that shit. We can't fit now. We got to put little drones in there.
Outside, Sarpanit and Nabu, spouse and father, were awaiting. A joyful reunion it was. When to Marduk, his father Enki, the terms of release conveyed, Marduk was enraged. I would rather die than my birthright forfeit, he shouted. Sarpanit into his arms Nabu thrust. We are part of your future, she softly said. Marduk was angered. Marduk was humbled. To fate I yield, he inaudibly said. With Sarpanit and Nabu to a land of no return, he departed. To a place where horned beasts are hunted, with wife and son he went. After Marduk had departed, Ninurta, the Ekur, through the shaft re-entered. Through a horizontal corridor to the Ekur's vulva he went. In its east wall, in a niche artfully fashioned, the destiny stone, a red radiance was emitting. Its power to kill me grabs, with a killing tracking it me seizes. It me ceases.
That's the thing. So let me stop you for 1 minute. So they described a land where they were going to go before, and it was the land of the great buffalo, they said. And then Marduk was banished to a land where they hunted great horned beasts. Now, you might say, oh, that could be anywhere. TwizTD, maybe back then, fucking great horned beasts roamed everywhere around the world. Well, that's possibly true. Well, let's go look at cave paintings. Nope. There's one place on a whole fucking planet, there's cave paintings of great horned beasts being hunted by indigenous people. Now, that's your key.
Hunted by wife and son.
Now, that's your key. That's your key, right? He wasn't allowed to be anywhere where the descendants of Noah were. That tells you right away he was nowhere in Europe. He was nowhere in Europe, that whole chunk of whole land, all that shit. He was in none of that spot. He was in a land far the fuck away where they hunted great beasts. And this is the great North American plains, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Its power to kill me grabs, with a killing tracking it me seizes. Ninurta inside the chamber cried. Take it away, to obliteration destroy it. To his lieutenants, Ninurta shouted. Retracing his steps through the grand gallery to the topmost chamber, Ninurta went. In a hollowed-out chest, the heart of the Ichor pulsated. Its net force by 5 compartments was enhanced. With his baton, Ninurta the stone chest struck. With a resonating sound, it responded. Its gug stone, that directions determined, Ninurta ordered to be taken out, to a place of his choice carried. Coming down the grand gallery, Ninurta the 27 pairs of Nibiru crystals examined. Many in his fight with Marduk were damaged. Some the struggle intact survived. To remove the whole ones from their grooves, Ninurta ordered. The others with his beam he pulverized.
So 1 second. You hear that? Nibiru crystals powered the damn pyramid. So they're like, how are they going to work? I don't understand. We're never, ever, ever going to get them to work. Because Nibiru crystals is what they use to power all this shit. Our crystals just don't have what it takes. We can power small engines forever, but not the world.
To remove the whole ones from their grooves, Ninurta ordered. The others with his beam he pulverized. Outside the house, which like a mountain is, Ninurta in his black bird soared. To the apex stone his attention he turned. His enemy's epitome it represented. With his weapons he shook it loose. To the ground in pieces it toppled. By this the fear of Marduk is forever ended, Ninurta victorious declared. On the battleground the assembled Anunnaki the praise of Ninurta announced. Like Anu you are made, to their hero and leader they shouted. To replace the incapacitated beacon, a mount near the place of the celestial chariots was chosen. Within its innards, the salvaged crystals were rearranged. Upon its peak, the Gug stone, the stone of directing, was installed. Mount Mashu, mount of the supreme celestial bark, the mount was called. At that time, Enlil, his 3 sons, summoned. Ninlil and Ninarsag also attended. Commands over olden lands to confirm, lordships over new lands to assign, they met. To Ninurta, who Anzu and Marduk had vanquished, the Enlilship powers were granted. In all the lands his father's surrogate to be, of the landing place in the Cedar Mountains, lordship to Ishkur was granted. To his domain northward thereof was the landing place joined. The lands south and east thereof, where the Igigi and their offspring had spread, to Ninar as an everlasting endowment were given by his descendants and followers to keep and to hold. The peninsula wherein the place of the chariots was, in Ninar's lands was included. Utu, as commander of the place and of the navel of the earth, was confirmed. And the land of the 2 narrows, as agreed, Enki to Ninkazita the lordship did assign. To that none of Enki's other sons objected. To that Inanna was opposed. To the heritage of Dumuzi, her deceased bridegroom, did Inanna claim lay. A dominion of her own she of Enki and Enlil demanded. How Inanna's demands to satisfy the leader's contemplated.
She's like, Jesus is dead, man. This is some bullshit. This is Mary sticking up for Jesus right here.
About
the
lands and the peoples, the great Anunnaki, who the fates decree counsel took.
It's like,
Regarding the earth and its resettling words, with Anu they exchanged. From the time of the deluge, the great calamity, almost 2 shars have passed.
2 shars, almost.
The earthlings have proliferated. From mountain lands to dried lowlands they went. Of civilized mankind, by Zusudra there were descendants. With Anunnaki seed, they were intermixed. Offspring of Igigi, who intermarried, roamed about. In the distant lands, Ka'in's kinfolk survived.
There you go.
Few and lofty were the Anunnaki who from Nibiru had come. Few were their perfect descendants.
Now you heard that, right? So there's humans left on the planet. The people of Cain survived in the mountain. What was that? Pikachu. Remember?
Tititaka.
No. No, remember you said it was you know it, you love it. We went over it. Lake Pikal, like Mount Pikal or some shit. Titicaca, Pikachu. Somewhere in South America.
So bad with names.
There's a big ass motherfucking mountain. And people survived there. That was the descendants of Cain, the beardless people. Machu Picchu.
Thank you. Yes.
Machu Picchu. That's the descendants of Cain, right? Cain and Abel. Like that's what they say. That's what the fucking chick wrote down. That's what who are the native indigenous people that go from South America all the way up to North America. And you might say, well, those are different. Nope, they stem from the same people of Cain, right? That's who they were. And then they wanted to mine. They were like, oh, look, there's already people. They're civilized. Look, there's pyramids and shit. Nigazita taught him that, right? Isn't that who it was? Well, Thoth. It's Thoth. We'll just say Thoth because I always forget who the fuck what his real name is. But Thoth went over there, taught the people of Cain how to be civilized, do mathematics, astronomy, mine gold, all that because they weren't mining gold before. They was being fucking indigenous people of Cain. You know what I'm saying? He had weed and shit. That's why weed's a huge thing in the indigenous cultures. That's their piece because that's what Cain. They were like, yo, Cain, you go grow these seeds over there. All right, cool, man. Let us know when you harvest, bro. So those people are proliferating in the faraway lands. Where are they? They're here, man. North, South America. So it's got to be here. Now we have Noah's people, Ishtaputin or whoever, is proliferating too. But also we have the Anunnaki, the fallen angels, the Igigis, all those motherfuckers. They are now intermarrying in what?
Intermixed.
So they're having sex with the people of Noah. Also, because remember, because I'm 6'2", she's 5'2", we can have a kid together. That's cool. I'm a little bit taller than her. That's what it was. They look just like the people that they created. They was having sex with them. So I looked up this when it says, like, I'm God. God gave his only begotten son. I was going to say I gave my only begotten son. But when it says God gave his only begotten son. So begotten means like to give birth to, right? The only kid. And back then, no one had only one kid. Nobody had only one kid. Everyone had shit tons of fucking kids. So that whole statement of God gave his only begotten son. No, he gave his youngest begotten son. You know what I'm saying? His fucking last born, maybe. And maybe that's what they were trying to say with it. But it's just strange. So now we got these Anunnaki that are mixing with the humans that are created from Lord Enki's seed. So this is a whole thing, dude. I mean, it's a fucking... Who are we? Who are we? Like, literally. We didn't come from this or that or that. Like, the people of Noah, It's literally saying that people that came down from the mountain, whoever you believe they are, the Jews, and this person, and that person, they were mixed with the Anunnaki. Straight up. Man, this shit's fucking crazy. And pretty soon, we're going to get to where we got Yeshua walking across and whooping all their asses. He's got to kill all these motherfuckers so that way, like, us people can live. It's crazy shit.
We're almost done, guys.
You want to hit this while I was talking?
No, that's right. I'm almost done. Few and lofty were the Anunnaki who from Nibiru had come. Few were their perfect descendants. How settlements for themselves and for earthlings to establish the great Anunnaki considered. How over mankind lofty to remain. How to make the many, the few, obey and serve. About all that, about the future, the leaders with Anu words exchange. To come to earth one more time, Anu decided. With Antu, his spouse, he wished to come.
So, real fast, okay? This is the story, okay? So, where they talk about God comes to earth and lands on this fucking Dome of the Rock, right? These were in our times. Remember, Jesus died, right? Jesus died. That's Dumuzi. Whether it is or it isn't, this is Jesus's time. We went through Noah's time. Moses' time was in the times of the Egypts, right? Now we're, afterwards. Moses is coming too. We're in the time of the Jesus, right? And what's happening with them. And you're going to see, though, the twists and turns. I forgot where it went when I looked at you, and I was like, God, you're so beautiful. You know what I mean? You're going to see, though, the twists and the turns, how it ends up. Can you read that part one more time? Because I forgot.
Yes. Yes.
I got real stoned or something.
This is when Anu decides to come.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
so,
got it.
yeah. So right now, there's people around the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. There's people all there, and they witnessed Anu coming and deciding what was going to happen to all this shit. So this is who they're waiting to come back. So I'm saying, like, in our days, in those days,
Anu is the big king on Nibiru. So he is technically, if you want to put it in
the
hierarchy, he is
the most high.
The most high.
He'd be the most high of those things that came here and created people.
Yeah.
So imagine a spaceport. We see it in Star Wars and all these games we play and shit like that. Flat platform. Some hoses probably are scattered around for refueling your oxygen or water or something like that. There might be some shipping crates along the edges. There ain't shit in the middle because they got to land on that motherfucker. So that's what I'm saying. Like the Dome of the Rock, the people forgot that the damn spaceship's going to come there. Or maybe they're just going to take their drop ship because humans are so removed from spaceships landing on platforms in our days that maybe they shoot little balls of light out at us and watch us and go, I wonder is it cool if we can land a spaceship? And then you go into Jerusalem, and what do you see? You see a small spaceship. Green light comes straight down and land in Jerusalem, Dome of the Rock. You saw that a few years ago. It was wild. So let's get the ending here.
Okay, so that was the end of the 11th tablet. Next week, let's find out what's going to happen in the 12th tablet. Yeah. The soil dries. Plains and river valleys are resettled. Plentiful gold comes from the lands beyond the seas. Anu and his spouse Antu arrive for a memorable visit. Reminiscing, the leaders realize they are destiny's pawns. They allocate 3 regions of civilization to mankind. Pardoned by the departing Anu, Marduk remains rebellious. The first region and space facilities are Enlilite lands. Man's first civilization begins in the first region, Sumer.
First region.
Marduk usurps a site to build an illicit launch tower. Frustrated by the Enlilites, Marduk seizes the second region. He deposes and exiles Ningazida, Thoth, to distant lands. He declares himself Ra, supreme god, in a new religion.
That's right.
He introduces pharaonic reigns to mark a new civilization. Enlil assigns his son Ishkur to protect the metal sources. Inanna is granted dominion in the third region in this valley.
Yeah. So I had it all fucked up. My bad. So Ningazita was Ra at that time with Set and Horus. I just get high. I forget the damn names.
There's a lot of names that turn into a lot of other names.
But that's what
really
I need to do. I've talked about this the whole time, is writing it down and having them all listed so you can be like, all right, this one's that one, this one's that one. I know it though, but I always like get it twisted and shit. Because you got to remember who Marduk wants to be, his mindset, who he is and who he was. Like Ningazita crawls out of Atlantis. If you read the Emerald Tablets, he came from Atlantis, right? So wherever the fuck Atlantis was, whether it been middle Pacific Ocean, middle of the Atlantic Ocean, or whether it is Antarctica, who's to say? What if the Abzu is Antarctica and we got it all motherfucking wrong? The Earth was twisted a different way. Or if you believe in tectonic plate shifting or whatever, the last ice age ripped all the fucking land masses all different directions. So who knows what the fuck really we're talking about? Now they're talking about a peninsula, right? And they say, all right, well, let's look at the map. Well, here's the peninsula, and that's Iraq. Why couldn't the peninsula have been India? Why couldn't the peninsula have been India? Because that's where the city of the gods is. Like when you go to the Mahabharata is the oldest writings of truth there is. That's the Indian text, and they talk about all this stuff that she just talked about, read about the battles. Inanna rides Garuda. That's her spaceship. That's her war spaceship. And she flew Garuda over there and stomped a mud hole in that dude's ass and blew that shit up. That's what it is. She let, what is it, Inertu or Ningizita, one of those motherfuckers, she let them borrow that in the beginning. She let them borrow Garuda and go whoop one of those other asses. But coming soon. Oh, it's getting good. It's getting good. So after the time of Jesus, in the last time that God came to earth, right? Anu, last time the king of another planet came to earth. After that, the evil wind happened. And where is it? Why isn't it written about? Where did people go? How do people survive? And we're going to get into that. I don't believe it's written about in here. It might touch on it in like 2 words. But we're going to get into that and figure out, where did people go to survive? Were we done?
No. There's, we are getting close to it.
No, to what you had to read today.
Oh, yeah, we're done. I was just looking at stuff.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We've only got technically 2 more big tablets left.
Yeah. It's just fascinating, though, when you hear what's written here, and then your Bible stories, right? Your Christianity stories or whatever, and you realize, when I read this, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I thought, isn't that what happened to Jesus? So I'm like, let me research that shit. What happened to Jesus when he was in hell? And then, holy shit. Like, literally, almost word for fucking word, it says the fucking same thing, dude. I was like,
Dumuzi and Inanna, that is your story.
This is Jesus, dude.
Of resurrection.
That's Mary and Jesus right there. And she
like
loved
together,
him so much.
Together.
And
it's a story of one person that they depicted as one person, but is a story of 2 and it's a love story.
That's the female. They took the female out of it, though. And but this is the time frame. You might say, dude, time's ticking. I can't understand the time, but that's what it is. They're describing their time. We're thinking of it as in human times where thousands of years are going by. You heard it. They said nearly 2 showers had gone by since the flood. So that was almost 7,200 years from the flood to the time supposedly Jesus died. You know what I'm saying? Or Dumuzi dies. And they're doing all this other shit and splitting up the lands, splitting up all the places. Now the first place was the peninsula, or where they landed. The first place they landed in was like, you know, Alelu was there and shit. They built the Eden next to it. I really believe that that's over there, like on India's side. You know what I'm saying? Iraq, yeah, it's a peninsula. Take away fuck tons of water. Was it? Was it a peninsula then? Was the landing spot in the ocean? Was it in the ocean? Bet you that landing spot's in that motherfucking ocean by now. We're only seeing the landing spots they talk about in the mountains. That's what y'all got to remember. After the flood, you know, everything was high. So most of the shit they were talking about was over there. Now we got what we can see today. You know, where are they looking at today's map? It's quite possible, but we have erosion that happens. We have other shit that happens on our planet that could possibly be or not possibly be, right? What if you turn the world this way and you look at, like, not, I'm meant to say the Middle East all the time. So what if we're looking at Europe, right? Europe coming off of Asia and Russia could look like a peninsula. You know what I'm saying? All of it could. But that's where Inanna went. She went up to Paris. She made the French people. But you hear what she says for Dumuzi, right? That's very important too. She says he will be remembered for all time over all others. His name will be cherished and worshipped over all others. And then she read it in it's the beginning of the next chapter, but at the very end here, that they were pissing their pants. We outnumbered them. There was only a few, and there was no more willing to come back because they was like, yo, we're stuck there if we come. All our kids are going to look like that. Oh, no, man. We lived for fucking millions of those years, dude. Fuck that shit.
They had to figure out a way for them, for regular people, not to rebel against them.
Yep.
Because they were way outnumbered. So they became, so they called themselves gods.
Yep.
You worship me. I am your God. That's how they kept us in line.
Yep. That's how all the gods, all the pantheon of gods became that. Before it was the rulers, and all the people knew who the people in charge were.
Who were the
they knew
but everything changed at that point.
Yep, everything changed. That's when they was like, oh, there's only a few of us. All right, look, you're God. Make sure you tell all your people that. All right, you're God. Make sure you tell all your people that.
The world was split into 3 instead of multiple.
You're God.
Look at me, I'm floating.
Make sure you tell all your people that. Right? That's exactly, you're going to hear it in the 12th tablet. It's exactly what they do. Religion was created for control. The kingship was passed down from heaven. So before that, the Anunnaki were the kings. The Anunnaki, say, Agigi were kings, right? Then after that, they gave it down to the human part God, they were demigods kind of thing. They passed the kingship down to heaven. So rulership and religion, both installed to make sure there was never another sheeple uprising like we just heard about the Tower of Babel. Right? You guys were like, wait, what the fuck? You just heard about the Tower of Babel. I know none of you realized that building I was talking about is the Tower of Babel. This is exactly when everyone's language changed. They even said it. They described it exactly how they described it in the Bible as the description of what it did, the purpose of it. And they destroyed it. They dismantled it just like God did to the Tower of Babel. Dismantled everything they were trying to do. And that's supposedly what the Tower of Babel was. Marduk was trying to rebuild everything else over here. Nah, fuck that, man. My people. I'm God. I'm God. I'm God. It is all jealousy. He thought he was like supposed to rule. But really, if you would have paid attention in the law of secession, he was real low on that totem pole. Like a lot of people had to die. A lot of shit had to not go perfectly right for him to even be considered a twinkle in someone's fucking eye. You know what I mean?
He's just a loudmouth that wanted rulership, and he's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And he had to be put in his place so many times, and they had to pay attention to him because if they didn't do something, he'd fucking fuck shit up again.
If I knew I was a half-blood prince, I'd shut the fuck up as a half-blood prince and be like, yo, my dad's like, he created all these people. I'd be like, that's cool as fuck. Want to go fishing? Want to ride a dinosaur? I would be like, dude, what do rich kids do? They play with daddy's toys.
He had a pedestal he wanted to be on.
Fuck that.
Sure.
Fuck that. Give me 20 fucking humans, 50 fucking of them be women. I don't know how 20 and 50 happened, but I want lots of fucking chicks to wash my balls under the water like they did in Coming to America. I want lots of dudes to be able to carry me around and shit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, fuck that worship shit. But that's what they came and they saw how it was going down. They wanted their stature, their entitlement. That's what it was. They knew they couldn't be entitled on the Nibiru, on their homeworld. So they thought they could be entitled on this planet. They were promised the moon. No, fuck you. I don't want the moon. Promised Mars. No, fuck you. I don't want Mars. I want Earth.
They saw their chance at greatness.
Yeah.
And like spoiled little children, and they wanted it. And some of them were worse than others and fought for it.
It's just strange how God and Jesus became a thing in a lot of cultures. But then you had the Egyptians. The whole pantheon was the whole area over there was all them, right? But then God and Jesus were like this totally different thing. You know what I'm saying? And most people might think, oh, okay, God was Ra. That was the same God playing. No, they were all different motherfuckers. Like Ra was literally the child. He was a child. Jesus is like the lowest son. Like, this is what I'm saying. They wouldn't write about somebody unless they're important. They say Jesus was God's son. I'm not saying he wasn't. He was. Fuck yeah. He was Jesus and he was God's son. If you're saying God is Lord Enki. See what I'm saying? Or God, yeah. If you're saying God is Lord Enki, yes. Dumuzi is Lord Enki's son. Absolutely. Now, the story of Jesus, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I wasn't there. What I'm saying is the parallel lines of these two stories indicate the one that you call Jesus is really named Dumuzi. His father is Lord Enki, which makes him your God, which he truly was the creator of the human race in all little parts until the Agigi got involved. We heard this now. Satan's fucking minions were making people. Who are Satan's people, though? They're on this planet. They're here. They didn't. Well, did they go underground? We're going to find out. And we're going to look into that. You might be like, what the fuck? Satan's people? Satan's people were a thing. They got created. Satan's humans. All the Agigi. Semyaza. Semyaza is Satan. Go look that shit up. Go look up the Jewish, what they call the devil. They're going to see it. Semyaza. That's why when, Dumuzi's looking down at, say, the Jews, and he says, my father is not your father, because they're the children of the rocket ships. Their father is Semyaza. And the Agigi, the fallen angels. God, man, it's like What about what's his name? Lazaza. Azazel. Like he's a character right there, man. He taught them all about the cabal. We're gonna look into all these things on a future Ganja Gospel, everybody. And Books Aloud by Amber Lalana, the hippie witch. And we're gonna find out what the fuck the Twisted One just blew open your mind hole about, because the universe right here is where your mind is gonna go pretty soon. Because, dude, we just found out Satan, the devil, created people on this planet that intermingled with the other people. Jesus. Jesus, help us. Holy Spirit, activate. All right, everybody. It's been a great time. You guys have a good day. I don't know if she's ready to go, but you ready to go?
Are you ready?
I'm ready to go. I just keep talking because I don't see her hands going up. I'm a little too far away.
I know.
Look, I can't even get to it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this Sunday Ganja Gospel, and we'll see you in the pews with an open mind next Sunday.
And a word from our sponsor.
Yes, indeed you do. Bye.
Peace out.